Can you take half a step out?
I can, absolutely.
Right there, perfect.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, get that in the background for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
Along the banks of the Kentucky River, standing the test of time, is the oldest continuously operating distillery in America. Through fires, floods, prohibition, and war, this place has never stopped making bourbon. This is Buffalo Trace.
What I find most interesting about our history is the fact that America really has a lot to thank for our movement westward from this vantage point right here behind me. 1869, a guy named E.H. Taylor Jr. shows up on scene. He puts in a distillery that was not just the American version, but the European version. If I was going to bring somebody up to a particular location to show off what we do, this is it. And it's just because of this valley. Buffalo roamed here. That's what brought people here in the first place. Bourbon came as a result of this landscape getting, corn in it, which corn is the predominant grain in any kind of bourbon you're going to create. And as a result, you've got the ability to make amazing product, which is what we do down there.
But some stories aren't just passed down, they're uncovered.
Imagine, if you will, for a second, you're looking to expand upon opportunity for visitors. A building sits idle for a number of years. The upstairs of this portion of the building, wooden, also old. Opportunity with open expanse of space, being as old as this structure is, 1880s. We've got a structure that needed to be checked. In order to check, you got to dig. When you dig, you find stuff. And that's what this room is presenting us today.
Beneath these floors lay a piece of history hidden for over a century, Bourbon Pompeii. In 2016, during a renovation, workers unearthed fermentation vats from the 1800s, revealing a time capsule of bourbon's past.
Old fired copper, OFC for short. E.H. Taylor cared so much about the money he put into this place that he named the place after the thing he spent the money on. Old fired copper. So when we uncovered the grounds we're standing in today, we were thrilled to find not just the holes that represented the fermenters, but also little remnant pieces of the copper that would have given this place its name. So what any good company would do in the 21st century, we have the ability to look at the copper. So we did that. And we spent some time and money trying to hone in on where that copper came from. We were able to go to the same well, literally, that those, our predecessors, E.H. Taylor in this case, and we were able to request the same copper from the same mine that he requested it from back in the 1880s. What you're seeing here today is a replica, or our version of it, of a fermenter that might have existed in OFC's time.
Buffalo Trace wouldn't be what it is today without the visionaries who shaped its history. One of the most influential figures was George T. Stagg. E.H. Taylor Jr. laid the groundwork for what Buffalo Trace would become, but after financial struggles, Stagg expanded the distillery, bringing it into the modern era and setting the foundation for what would become one of the most respected names in whiskey. Today, his name lives on in one of the rarest and most sought-after bourbons in the world. George T. Stagg built the foundation, transforming this distillery into a powerhouse of bourbon production. But the next great leader started at the very bottom. Albert Blanton began as an office boy at just 16 years old and worked his way up to president of the distillery. His dedication and expertise helped lead to one of the most iconic innovations in bourbon history, single-barrel bourbon.
We have a guy named Albert Blanton who became a president of a distillery at a time most wouldn't want to inherit a distillery. 1920, he is now being considered for the presidency, If anybody knows American history, 1920 was the same year that an unfortunate event befell the United States. It's called Prohibition. But this guy, he decided that this distillery deserved better. And in this case, he ended up getting us a little thing called a permit from the federal government. That permit allowed us to make what was called medicinal whiskey. For 13 years, this distillery, what is today known as Buffalo Trace, was able to make medicinal whiskey and did it legally in the United States. So we have him to thank for that, but then 13 years later, you've got the end of Prohibition coming. I think the bigger part of his story really comes from that, because he had a distillery open, operating, and now had a leg up on the competition. So he, with the forethought, got other big conglomerates involved at a time where money was king. You could flow it into this place and make this place even bigger than it was prior to Prohibition.
And then there's Elmer T. Lee, the man who saw the future. In 1984, he introduced the world to the first ever single-barrel bourbon, proving that one barrel, one moment in time, could create something truly exceptional.
1970s, 1980s, bourbon falls off. So in an effort to revive what was seen as a dying art, Elmer T. Lee, in partnership with several others here at the distillery, was able to revive bourbon thanks to a little product we now know as Blanton's. That was in honor of the guy who was a participant in his hiring here at the distillery, Albert Blanton. So in 1984, the world's first, what we call single barrel bourbon, was unveiled at this distillery. That was unheard of in the bourbon world before 1984.
The past built Buffalo Trace, but its future is in good hands. Today, Master Distiller Harlan Wheatley carries the torch, overseeing the craftsmanship and innovation that keeps this distillery at the forefront of the bourbon world. With over 20 years at Buffalo Trace, Wheatley has perfected the balance between tradition and progress. From the time-honored aging warehouses to the development of experimental whiskeys, his leadership ensures that Buffalo Trace remains a pioneer in the industry. Buffalo Trace is an experience. Unlike most bourbon distilleries, they offer a variety of unique tours, each showcasing different aspects of its rich history and craftsmanship. Every visit tells a different piece of the story, from walking through the legendary historical grounds and engaging in recent discovery, to exploring the art of aging in century-old warehouses. And the best part? Every tour is free. Whether you're a first-time visitor or a seasoned bourbon lover, there's always something new to discover. To learn more and book your own tour, visit buffalotracedistillery.com. Because here at Buffalo Trace, history isn't just remembered, it's lived.